And welcome back to Track 2 at the 2015 Mayday Mayhem, the 5th year of Mayday Mayhem. You're about to join us for the second game on Track 2. If you missed the first game earlier today, it was Oklahoma versus Assault Creek. 242-78, Oklahoma takes the win. Up next, we've got the Pueblo Derby Devil Dolls taking on Duke City Roller Derby, the Jailhouse Jawbreakers from Pueblo, the Muñecas Muertas from Duke City. I'm Bangers and Smash. I'm going to be joined by
DJ Dick.
Alrighty, and we're going to run through the rosters. I'll go ahead and run through Pueblo for you real quick. And for Pueblo today, we've got number 133, Ala Inyabiz. Number 1623, Jamie Fox You Up. Number 2, Farm Fresh. Number 314, Havoc Her Way. Number 33, Lady Lorna. Number 365, Joan Q-Smack. Number 5, Strawberry Sour. Number 667, Ringo Scar. Number 69, Harley Innocent. Number 7, Jane's Bondage. Number 75, Nitrogen. Number 8409, The Big Kapowski. And last but not least, number I-25, Mother Trucka.
And skating for Duke City Derby, we have number 10, Banff. Number 11, Killer Queen. Number 187, Doom De Doom. Number 311, Beatana Brat. Number 34, Holly Chamberlain. Number 511, Seam Slayer. Number 6, Lay Featherstone. Number 708, Razor Blaze. Number 713, Jerk of All Skates. Number 80D, Meep Meep. Number 86, Death Row. Number 9, Kells Inferno. Number 91, Gabriella Kim. And FU2, Swearin' Marie.
Alrighty, so based on what I have here in front of me, it looks like these teams have never come against each other, although they have both played at previous Mayday Mayhems. Pueblo has actually been at all of the Mayday Mayhems.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Duke City Muñecas Muertas are a founding member of WFTDA, joining WFTDA in 2005.
And if we look at the sheets here that we have in front of us, we can see where both teams are ranked. You've got number 115, Duke City, taking on number 197, Pueblo Derby Devils. So quite the spread on the seeding here. And remember, all these games today lead into the bracket seeding for tomorrow. So everybody here has a stake at finding a place in the winning bracket. All the teams that end up in the last places today will go into the consolation bracket. So everybody here really has a hand. I don't know what I'm trying to say here.
An opportunity to be at the top. Absolutely. They've all got a shot at the top spot as we start today. There's no predestination as far as that goes. That's who's going to be there.
We're not doing Zoroastrian roller derby.
Right.
I know one person who will get that joke if she ever listens to this call.
You can make sure that you play it for her later once you record it and give it to her as a Christmas gift.
Exactly. DVD sales are available of all the games here from ColoradoSports.TV, where you're watching all this wonderful derby action. There are 2 tracks being broadcast, so you'll need 2 computers to keep up with all the action. It looks like we may be running a little late on the track. I see the team for Pueblo is still warming up, so we're going to stay with you live. But we may not talk a whole lot because...
And for those of you watching at home, Pueblo is in yellow. They're currently on the track. And Duke City in black. They're currently off the track. So that way you can kind of keep things straight in your head as you're watching on your screen. And we'll remind you as the game goes on who's who.
If we remember.
That's why I wrote it down, Bangers. I don't remember anything unless it's written down.
I'm right there with you.
If it's not on paper, it doesn't exist.
So we shared when Duke City came in. Let's see, Pueblo joined the WFTDA in 2010, so a little younger than Duke City.
Yeah.
And but just as determined to take the top spot in Mayday Mayhem.
And taking a look at the sanctioned record for Duke City, they've played 2 previous tournaments this year. They were at Dust Devil in 2005. Where they played Junction City, Boulder County, and Sac City, and they took losses to all of those teams. And then the following month, in April, they played the Mythical Invitational, where they played Alamo City, North Texas, and ICT, and they won all of those games. So kind of a mixed bag there as far as performance goes. Doesn't really tell us a lot what to expect in this game going up against Pueblo Derby Devils.
And on the same side, Pueblo's only played one game this season thus far in April. I had to count what 4 was on my fingers if you're wondering at home why it took me so long to figure that out. They did come up against FOCO Girls Gone Derby, who are also in this tournament, and they did face a loss, not a huge loss, but they did face a loss. So they've only had one game, so the current record 0-1. They're looking to change that up here today against the Muñecas Muertas.
Muñecas Muertas also participated in the first National Roller Derby tournament. That was the 2006 Dust Devil.
That is a pretty awesome factoid to know.
Yeah, it was on my paper. That's how I knew it. I'd like to claim that I knew that, but it was written down, so it existed.
That makes perfect sense.
I've left bangers speechless.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know.
To a great cause that helps provide Derby to the greater Derby universe. So those of you that can't travel all the way here to Mayday Mayhem can watch it from the relaxing confines of your couch at home.
Which is a great place to watch Derby, in my opinion.
Especially if you hook up your computer to the big screen.
Exactly. So it looks like on the board we've got 15 seconds to Derby. I see the refs lining up. The Muñecas Muertas already lining up their line. Pueblo still working out their bench, so we'll see them come out here in just a couple moments.
Once again, Pueblo in yellow.
Alrighty, so listening to the house, it's going to be Ala Inyabiz, number 133 in the yellow for Pueblo, taking on number 511 Seam Slaya for Duke City in the first jam of the game.
And we're seeing Pueblo do a nice little deep wall here right at the scrum line as we get ready for the whistle.
Seam Slayer goes from the inside to the outside, hoping that hole will be open, but Farm Fresh able to take her to the outfield and have her do a little recycle, not a huge recycle. Ala Inyabiz currently stuck at the back of the pack and being driven out, and it looks like the Duke City skaters are going to take her as far back as possible.
Yeah, she went all the way back to the jam line before starting forward movement again, and that's going to make Seam Slayer lead jammer for Duke City in black.
Ala Inyabiz now working her way to the front of the pack, just one left to beat, and there it is. But she's going to pick up a back block call and makes it a power jam for Duke City, and Seam Slayer already putting 5 on the board, coming in for another scoring pass.
And we're seeing a lot of action happening in the pack. I'm not sure where the camera is following, but a lot of physical play going on in that pack between those two teams while the jammers were over on the straightaway on the opposite side. That's 5 points for Duke Seam Slayer. Total of 10 on the board for Duke City.
And Seam Slayer comes back in. Now Pueblo's got a front wall there. Her wall is hanging, or her blockers are hanging back, hoping to stretch out that pack. Pueblo slowly bridging here, and the bridge is at an end. Farm Fresh the last to beat. She's through for another 5. Just as Ala Inyabiz comes back to the track, Seam Slayer goes ahead and calls off the jam, and we're going to start a new one.
Not a lot of fast play in that jam, Bearings. It looked kind of relaxing almost as Seam Slayer in that power jam, kind of taking her time, setting up her strategy, letting her teammates set up their strategy so she could make those runs at that front wall.
You're absolutely correct. I think, too, we're going to see this in the beginning, a couple of feel-out jams. Both teams looking to see how the other plays so they can get back to the bench, discuss how they're going to play out the rest of the game. And we'll see how that progresses as we go. I expect that the action's going to get heavy hitting as we go in. Jamie Foxshope, number 1623, jamming for Pueblo, takes the second lead jam of the game. And Banff, number 10 for Duke City, not too far behind, about a half a track, as Jamie comes in for a scoring pass.
Duke really spread out right now with their pack. They're in some penalty trouble. Don't have a full complement of skaters out there. There's 4 points picked up. Jam called off. And Pueblo now with points on the board.
Alrighty, yeah. So as you can see on that beautiful scoreboard, number right now is 4-15. Duke City in the lead. Pueblo looking to make things change up. And now you saw this jam as it started. You saw a little bit more action than we did in the last one. So I think, that first jam was kind of we're going to feel this out, see where we're at. And now we're going to see the hard-hitting action as we go.
And 3-wall from Duke City in black. A little bit of penalties out the bat there. And it's number 713 picking up lead jammer. That is Jerk of All Skates in a power jam.
Yeah, right there at the beginning, number 667, Ringo Scar, jamming for Pueblo, picking up a penalty. Off to the box she goes, and 5 points already more for Duke City as we keep going. And Duke City has this very interesting 4 lineup to stretch out the pack to the back.
And it's working for them as 4 more points being picked up by Duke City now. Jerk of All Skates just throwing the points up there on the board and forcing the penalties on Pueblo as they're down to just 2 blockers at the front. Really hard to do anything effective against a jammer when you've only got 2 blockers out there.
You're absolutely correct. Now Ringo Scar comes back from the penalty box. She's out almost a full lap behind the jammer for Duke City, who makes her way through and puts up another 4 points on the board.
Jerk of All Skates with a nice move at the far end of the track. I don't know if you guys caught that at home, but as she was going around those Pueblo blockers, she got really low stance, almost kind of bent over, and just kind of almost looked like she skated under them.
That's the way to do it. The lower you can get, the harder it is to put a legal hit on you.
Absolutely.
And coming up for the Monedas Boletas, it is Meep Meep.
So that's Meep Meep jamming for Pueblo.
Or actually, Meep jamming for Duke.
For Duke, sorry.
Oh, no problem. And Ala Enyab up again for Pueblo. And Meep already lead jammer and already around, looking to beat Harley Innocent at the front of the pack there, 4-5. And there it is, all 5. Direction of gameplay on Harley Innocent. It's going to put Pueblo down to just 1 blocker in the pack.
But the pivot's now coming back on. That's Farm Fresh. So now they're up to a whopping 2 blockers.
Did make for an easy 5 for Meep on that pass, so she just had to get past her own blockers for the most part. Ala Enyab is still stuck in that pack, looking for a way through as Meep comes right on through for another 5 points. I can see.
Yeah, she did a nice move to the outside, got around there on that turn 4, turn 3, and just racked up those points.
All right, so we have a helmet cover pass to number 2, Farm Fresh, the pivot for the Pueblo team. Meep sees it. She's going to go ahead and call off the jam.
Little late there for that star pass to be effective.
I think Ala was kind of stuck in that wall of Muñecos Muertos blockers.
Right.
And they were doing a very good job separating Farm Fresh from her so that she couldn't just hand the helmet cover to her. So it made it a little difficult for her to get that pass completed. It looked like there was a little bit of a struggle as they were going around for her to actually get that into hand.
And we're seeing Pueblo again. They've done this each time now with this deep wall at the front. They've got the 3 blockers kind of in a circle waiting for that jammer to come through.
And Jamie Fox up 2 for 2 on lead jammer calls as she makes it out of the pack first.
And jammer for Duke being sent now to the penalty box for a forearm penalty. And that is Seam Slayer once again.
Alrighty, this is what Pueblo needs right now, a power jam. One of their most effective thus far jammers out there on the track with the power jam and lead jammer. She's already through for 5, looking to put some more on the board. She holds that outside really well.
She gets chased down by Duke.
That was some pretty good pressure, but she holds it for another 5.
And she's attacking that Duke line once again. Duke doing a great job of trying to hold her back.
But she's able to pick up another 5 before Seam Slayer comes back. Now Seam Slayer back into the pack immediately into a wall of Pueblo. Pueblo ready for now just Joan Q-Smack to beat at the front of the pack there. And she is out.
She's out.
Jammers neck and neck. Jamie Foxyup's going to go ahead and call off the jam after she comes through. Little checking to see, did she get another pass? No, just 4 on that last pass.
A good awareness there of knowing where the Seam Slayer was, calling off that jam before Seam Slayer was able to pick up any points. So keeping that Duke score where it's at. They've already got kind of a commanding lead, but making sure they don't make it even more of a commanding lead.
Exactly, and Pueblo really able to make a difference on that one with a 20-point jam, bringing them up to, or I'm sorry, with a 19-point jam, bringing them up to 23-53. And 30 points is not an insurmountable amount of points to get. Ringo Scar now jamming for Pueblo through and lead jammer.
Jammer for Duke City through now. That is number 10, Banff, once again. Back a little bit spread out here.
Ringo Scar coming in. She gets into the wall. She's going to call off the jam. That was good jammer awareness for her. She knew Banff wasn't too far behind. Only 2 points on the pickup, but it does hold Duke City to 0, which is what Pueblo is going to have to continue to do until at least they catch up, because they don't want to let Duke run away with it again.
No, and that's 2 jams now that Duke has been pointless. Well, without points. I don't want to say pointless.
And we've gotten a little deeper into. We're going into jam number 6 now, and so I think both teams have had a kind of an opportunity to figure things out a little bit. So we're seeing that how both teams are able to adapt here.
A lot of action now on the jam line as Duke trying to break through, pushing the Pueblo defense apart, and that is lead jammer for Duke, number 713, Jerkoval skates again.
Already, so here we see a helmet cover pass from Ala Inyabiz.
On the floor for a minute there. Jerkoval skates, goes to the inside, picks up 5 points.
And now what you saw there, if the camera was on Ala Inyabiz, is she threw the helmet cover, which you can do, and the pivot picked it up, but she couldn't put it on or it would have been a penalty because it wasn't received by hand. So Ala had to skate around, pick it up, and hand it back to the pivot, and that's when the pivot took off with the jammer star. So that's why there was no penalty issued. You can throw the star as long as you put it back in the jammer's hand. The pivot can pick it up, they just can't put it on.
Right.
That's kind of new in this rule set.
I think that's this year, isn't it? Yes.
Before you couldn't throw it or it would lead to a penalty. Right. But now you can, if you want to throw it at the ref in the middle, you can go ahead and do it. Just either the jammer or the pivot's got to pick it up.
I think if you throw it at the ref in the middle, you're going to end up with an insubordination.
That might be an insubordination, you're right. Number 1623, Jamie Foxshope jamming for Pueblo, almost out of the pack, and then takes a hit to the outfield and recycled. And number 80D, Meep Meep for Duke City is stuck in the pack as Jamie comes in. Nice jump. She falls in the infield, though, so she's still good to get up and recover. She's through and lead.
And it's a race now as Meep Meep hot on the tail of the jammer for, and there's the whistle.
So 0-0 on the passes. Jamie came in. She had to call off the jam. The pressure was being put on by Meep Meep. She thought maybe, it looked like she thought she had one, but the jam refs say no pass by either jammer.
Ringo Star stepping up next. We're at the start for Pueblo. We have Seam Slayer coming next for the Moretos.
Alrighty, so number 667 Ringo Scar versus number 511 Seam Slayer for the Muñecas Muertas.
We've seen Seam Slayer quite a few times. Seam Slayer's been great at neutralizing the Pueblo defense, getting through there and picking up lead jammer. And we're seeing that again as she gets pushed to the outside, but stays in. Gets recycled now at turn 2, and they're pulling her all the way back to the jam line.
And same thing happened with Ringo Scar taken to the outfield. Both jammers were actually recycling at the same time. That's a great thing about roller derby. We're really green about recycling jammers.
Absolutely, and green is the way to go in today. And Duke wearing the black and green, so they're even taking that even further. As Seam Slayer gets recycled again to the pivot line, going up against a 4-wall of Pueblo defenders now.
And Ringo Scar at the front against 3, able to make it out. Lead is for Pueblo. And a multiplayer block on one of Duke City's blockers, going to put him in the box. As Ringo Scar comes around, she gives a nice hit to Seam Slayer, taking her down, giving her blockers a chance to set up for that defensive thing that needed to happen there.
Seam Slayer finally, gets chased down, gets a nice booty hit at turn 4, gets hit out, and is going to have to recycle back around. And Pueblo taking her all the way back to the opposite straightaway. it seems at this point in the game that the Pueblo defense has really figured out how to neutralize Seams Flare. She has not even finished her initial pass yet.
They're definitely making it a lot tougher on Seam Slayer, and I'm seeing Pueblo take it a little further out. Before, they were kind of giving up at 5 or 10 feet, and I think they're remembering we can go out 20 feet from the pack and still hit a jammer. Now, Ringo Scar calls it off. 10 points on the jam for Pueblo, so Pueblo creeping ever closer to Duke City, but Duke City was still a decent lead, 62-35 with 17 remaining in the half.
And we do have Banff on the jam line.
So Banff jamming for Duke City once again. Banff looking for the outside to try and find a way through, but getting buffeted around by the Pueblo defenders. Nice move to the inside by Banff as Banff picks up lead jammer for Duke City. And that's exactly what they've been waiting for. They haven't had the lead the last couple of times. They want to get some points on the board and make this lead bigger than it already is.
Exactly. Now, Banff already around for a scoring pass. Number 133, Ala Inyabiz, jamming for Pueblo. Did make her way out of the front side of the pack and is looking to come in for points, but Banff calls off the jam. Does pick up all 4 points on the pass, moving Duke City even further ahead of Pueblo.
Yeah.
So just a little bit over up there, bringing it on to 31 point spread there. Oh, to jam next, Pueblo Milacus Muretas. We have Jeffco All Sticks. Jamie Fox up for the Jailhouse Jawbreakers.
Alrighty, so 1-6-2-3, Jamie Fox show up for the Pueblo Jailhouse Jawbreakers, and number 713, Jerk of All Skates as we get into the next jam.
Jerk of All Skates going up against those Pueblo defenders again. We're seeing a nice deep wall here. It's like an immovable object as Jerk of All Skates tries to get around. Oh, does a nice little twist turn on the inside lane and picks up lead jammer.
And Ringo Scar being recycled and picking up a penalty. I'm sorry, Jamie Fox show being recycled and picking up a penalty is in the box. So we have a power jam for Duke City. This is not what Pueblo wanted, but it's certainly a boon for Duke City right now. They can increase their lead as Jerk of All Skates fights off Lorna Love on the inside line, takes 5.
That was an excellent defensive work there by Pueblo as they really made Jerk of All Skates work through that line. They bridged it out. She had to go up against every single one of those blockers before she was able to get out. And as we've been sitting here talking about it, she's going up against that line once again. And we're seeing it happen all over again as they're just glomming onto her like glue as Jerk of All Skates tries to break through that front line.
A pretty decent penalty kill from the previous power jams that we've had for Pueblo. Only 5 points picked up this time during the power jam, and Jamie Fox is back looking to fight her way through. And
Jerk of All Skates going to the penalty box now for a low block. So that'll put Pueblo, misconduct.
Yeah, it looked like a low block from the back, but then as the ref came around, I saw that misconduct. So it is a power jam for Pueblo. Jamie Fox still on her initial pass is having some trouble from Duke City's defensive line now. Basically, it's a repeat of what Pueblo was doing, only it changed the colors up.
And once again, Pueblo out there in yellow, Duke in green if you're just joining us, or excuse me, Duke in black if you're just joining us and trying to figure out who's who out there on the track.
Alrighty, Jamie Fox up through for 5 in the sky for Pueblo. So now we're matched points as both jammers are back in, both coming in for a scoring pass. Jamie looking to call off the jam. She's able to do so after getting through and picking up another.
And it's
5 points for Pueblo, and there were 4 points awarded to Duke City after the whistle blew as well. So it was 10-9 on the jam, 1 point pickup by Pueblo ultimately, and it puts us at 75-45. So we're seeing a little bit of stretching by Duke and then a little bit of return from Pueblo. Pueblo just needs to turn up the magic a little bit and get that a little closer, I think.
Right. Oh, nice move to the outside by Meep Meep. Pueblo's there, but it's not enough to stop Meep Meep. Meep Meep picks up lead jammer, and she is flying around that track.
Ringo Scar already recycled to the infield. Going to have to go way back and start her journey through again as Meep Meep is in and looking to put points on the board for Duke. And there
nice
they go.
Footwork. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but as the defending wall from Pueblo was pushing her out, Meep Meep was able to keep her skates right on that inside line, and she was on those front 2 skates, so nothing went on the outside, and just out of there.
And now Meep Meep burning up the track, comes around, hits the back of the pack, is able to put 4 more on the board for a total of 9 on the jam, call it off, and keep any points being earned by Pueblo.
Full strength derby. Oh, and that's what we love. We love a full strength derby. Half strength, good quarter. We want it full strength, we want it on track, we want bish, bash, and a good old bosh. And we all want to go, ooh, that was.
I think the house announcers are having a good time.
It definitely sounds like.
We have Team Slayer on the track for the Muñecas Muertas.
Alrighty, so Team Slayer up for the Muñecas Muertas and Ala Iñibiz for Pueblo as we get into the next jam.
The last time Team Slayer was up against Pueblo, she had a very difficult time getting through that Pueblo defense, but not a problem as Team Slayer picks up lead jammer. Team Slayer had a lot of help there from her blockers getting through that pack this time around.
And she probably went back to the bench and was like, hey, look, I need this from you when we get back out there.
And we can see it happening now. Team Slayer going up against that wall, and the Duke City blockers coming up to give her a hand. Team Slayer to the outside and picks up 4 points. 5 points.
Yeah, as you can see, Ala Iñibiz is in the penalty box. So it is a power jam for Duke City.
Just still 3 blockers now out there for Pueblo. Team Slayer through to the outside picks up another 5 points. I think Team Slayer is wanting to make up those points that she didn't get 2 jams ago.
You're absolutely right. And she's coming in for another scoring pass now. She sees Ala Iñibiz returning from the penalty box. Her blocking line's got it taken care of. Now they're unable to provide her that offense that they have been providing her. So you can see she's having a little more struggle getting through that Pueblo wall. But Ala Iñibiz is able to get through and now eligible to score. So I imagine Team Slayer is going to get her points and get out of there, and that's exactly what she does.
Yep. Yeah, so we're definitely seeing that the trick there for Duke City to get Team Slayer through is to get their blockers into that Pueblo line and split it up to make an opening for Team Slayer.
Now the question for Duke City is, are they strong enough to split it up so they can have a couple offense and a couple defense to hold on to Pueblo's jammer? Although Pueblo has been very nice to Duke City and has given him a number of power jams thus far. So Pueblo really needs to watch the jammer penalties. And the biggest thing I see getting them is letting the Duke City push them to the line and then getting a cut penalty.
That's Banff jamming for Duke City. She gets pushed to the inside and recycled all the way back to turn 4. But just barrels like a rocket through the outside line and then starts her scoring run.
Jamie Foxshoe up jamming for Pueblo. Already lead jammer and back around for a scoring pass all the way through. She's going to call it off. And she picks up all 4 points. Just the right timing. I mean, Banff was right there at the back of the pack. And
she actually
could have potentially had a point.
Yeah, she actually did a little spin around there and was hitting one of that back line of defense when the jam got called. Up on the board now, 95-49. Duke City in black, Pueblo in yellow.
Already lined up for the jam. This time we got Ringo Scar versus Jerk of All Skates. Ringo Scar quick to the front of the pack, but then driven to the infield and recycled.
Jerk of All Skates having a hard time. Looks like she's having more trouble getting past her own blockers than she is the Pueblo blockers. Gets pushed to the inside and recycled back.
Ringo Scar, meanwhile, has picked up lead jammer, and we've got a cutting the track penalty on Jerk of All Skates. So Ringo Scar in control here, going to be looking to put points on the board and close up that score gap for Pueblo once again.
And we've seen a lot of cutting the track penalties here today. The first game was plagued by cut track penalties, and we're seeing that again here now.
And Ringo Scar now coming back in for another turn. The pack at a slow roll here. Pueblo staying at the back, letting her work her own way through. She gets taken to the outfield. Now the Duke City skaters looking to take her back as far as possible.
Duke City with a nice line at the front there. Going for a deep wall as they're all kind of in a kumbaya moment as they all kind of circle together to provide some extra oomph. And number 713, Jerk of All Skates, now back on the track, working hard to hit that pack, try and pick up some points.
And
this will be her initial pass here.
Through the pack is Ringo Scar, another 5 on the board for Pueblo, so she is making a difference in the impact. She's aware that Jerk is still on her first pass, which is a non-scoring initial pass, so she can keep going if she wants she's going to get in there and call off the jam. She does pick up another 3 points on the pass for a total of 13. So that's really good movement for Pueblo.
Jerkoval Skates, when she hit that front line from Pueblo, just really had a difficult time getting through there. We're really seeing Pueblo really solidifying their defense in the second half of this first half of the game, if that's not confusing for you. And they're doing a great job of holding the Duke City Jammers back, and that's being reflected in the score. That lead is being chipped away 1 point at a time.
And we do have Meep on the jam line. Muertas.
Meep jamming once again for the Muñecas Muertas. She goes to the outside, gets pushed, goes back to the inside, and now it's Meep, lead jammer for Duke City in black.
Ala Inyabiz jamming for the Jailhouse Jawbreakers is in the pack, but just not able to find a way through, even though she's getting some decent help from her blockers.
Meep puts a hard hit on number 88 from Pueblo, and in return takes a hard hit from one of the Pueblo blockers. Does not slow Meep down, and Meep picks up 5 points. So I love it when I see jammers get in there and really mix it up with the blockers. You don't see that all the time, but I like seeing it when it happens.
It does make a difference. As Meep comes in for her next scoring pass, she sees Ala Inyabiz is out and eligible to score. She calls off the jam. 4 more points on the board for Duke City, none for Pueblo. Ala was looking to get 4, but it was after the whistles.
So close there for the lead.
Nice commanding lead now by Duke City.
Pick up some points, just called off.
Just about 6 minutes left in the half. Number 1623, Jamie Fox, you up going to take the line for Pueblo.
I think what we're seeing here, especially in the second game on track 2, quite a tight jam rotation. A lot of slash like 3, maybe 4.
And that is Seam Slayer once again for Duke City. Seam Slayer fighting away to the front of the pack, picking up lead jammer, leaving the pack behind. Pueblo trying to bridge out and slow her down, but just not very effective at it this time around.
They're missing one from their 4 wall, so maybe that makes the difference for Pueblo here. Jamie Fox really struggling at the front side of the pack as Seam Slayer coming around on a scoring pass, gets held up by all 4 of the blockers. Now they're all back together and making it work.
Seam Slayer goes to the outside as Pueblo splits apart, picks up 4 points and calls off the jam. So nice move there by Seam Slayer. It seems that early on, Pueblo had Seam Slayer figured out, but I think Seam Slayer now has Pueblo figured out. And so there's a little bit of give and take there as they're both kind of trying to adjust for the fact that each of them has figured out the other's moves.
Well, and I'm seeing as we get deeper into the game, Pueblo is having to change up their walls a little bit because they are skating with a shorter roster than normal. So it wasn't the exact same walls that they were playing against Seam Slayer before that was out there this time. It was about half the wall from before. So maybe that makes the difference for Pueblo too.
Jammer for Duke gets pushed out at the straightaway, comes back in, gets pushed in again in between turns 1 and 2. They've really got the number of time, and that is Banff out there fighting her way through the Pueblo defenders. 2-all at the front of the pack, Banff going up against now. Jogs to the outside.
Ringo Scar jamming for Pueblo, makes her way out of the front side of the pack, picks up 5 points, calls off the jam.
Yeah, felt that pressure from Banff. Banff never giving up at that point, and I love seeing that when, even though the lead jammer's been given to the other team, the opposing jammer still putting that pressure on, forcing the call off, and that's what happened right here.
Just goes into preemption and big hits. You can ride away like you always cause problems all day long. And in the matrix, bam. And we got Jerkoval Skates for the Muertas.
Jerkoval Skates jamming for Duke City once again.
And Ala Inyabiz for Pueblo. Ala Inyabiz gets immediately trapped at the back of the pack, and Jerkoval Skates pretty much trapped right at the front of the pack. I'd say she has the advantage, though, because she's at the front, but she's taken out, and Pueblo's looking to recycle her.
Yep, Jerk has recycled all the way to the pivot line. It's not slowing Jerkoval Skates down, though. She's right back in there, and you can see her jamming style. She's trying to get low as she's going up against those big Pueblo blockers, hoping that'll help her out.
Again, though, she's taken out, and oh my goodness, to the outside, Ala Inyabiz, a big hit. She's taken out. That was number 6.
Jerkoval Skates recovers after getting pushed to the inside and picks up lead jammer. Nice low skating style there by Jerkoval Skates, going up against a 2-wall, 3-wall here of Pueblo defenders once again. Duke in black, Pueblo in yellow.
And Ala Inubis finally finds her way through that inside line. She's out and eligible to go, as a cut track penalty is going to be called on Jerk of all skates. So this will be a 2-minute jam, of which there's about 50 seconds remaining, as Ala Inubis comes in for a first scoring pass. Now, Jerk will have picked up some points because she was in the pack, but they won't be awarded till the end of the jam or until she returns to the track and makes her way back through the pack.
And I don't know if you noticed that, but when Alia Inubis went to that inside line, she was being chased down by FU2, and it almost looked to me like FU2's block was actually assisting Alia Inubis to getting through that pack as opposed to slowing her down.
And that does happen in a sport where you're rolling and you have some inertia. Sometimes you can't help but just transfer that energy to the person on the opposing team.
Jerk of all skates back on the track now, skating very quickly, trying to hit that back of the pack, pick up some points. We also have a star cover pass as Farm Fresh now, number 2, wearing the star for Pueblo.
Now, Pueblo awarded all 5 points on that first pass because Ala Inubis had picked up all the score points before she passed the star. She was just having trouble breaking out there. And Jerk of all skates did return, also picked up 5 points because she'd earned those in the previous pass before she went to the penalty box. Because she'd actually passed everybody, got the penalty, went to the box, and then came back and had to go back through to get the points. So.
All right, this could be last game of the first half. Jamie Fox, you up back on the line for Jailhouse.
All right, Jamie Fox, you up on the line for Jailhouse Jawbreakers and Meep Meep for Duke City. And Jamie Fox, you up. She's done really well with her lead jammer calls. This will be the third time that she's out there picking up lead for Pueblo. And burning up the track, already around for a scoring pass. Meep Meep, meanwhile, hung up in the pack.
Meep Meep goes down. No penalty called on that as Meep Meep gets back up and tries to get around those Pueblo defenders again. They're holding her to the outside.
Jamie Fox up through for 5 points on the board. Meep Meep, meanwhile, really struggling to get through here. Her blockers looking to give her some defense as Jamie comes around with a beautiful jump over the apex. Another 5 points on the board for Pueblo.
Meep Meep still held up there. Pueblo really making sure that they're everywhere Meep Meep wants to be, and Meep Meep's not able to get through. And of course, just as I say it, Meep Meep breaks through the pack and starts her initial scoring run.
Jamie in on a fourth scoring pass and looking to put some more points on the board. She is lead. She's aware where Meep Meep is. She's going to go ahead and call off the jam. She does pick up another 3 points on the pass. A very good jam for Pueblo. 19 points on the jam. That gives them some good momentum. I would say Pueblo should probably jam Jamie Fox up a little bit more if she can handle it. I mean, unfortunately, again, they're skating short rostered, and so we're seeing people play in multiple positions. And that can be tough to do, especially when you've got a tournament day, which means this is probably not their only game of the day.
Yeah, it won't be. And, you know, it's not going to take much for Pueblo to be able to pull this out. We are in a timeout right now. That timeout having been called by Pueblo. They wanted to stop the clock so they could get one more jam in and reassess their strategy, get their momentum, keep their momentum going into the second half. And it's not going to take much for Pueblo to really break out of this. A score 114-86, that's not an insurmountable lead. 1 or 2 more power jams for Pueblo, and they could easily tie up the score and get past Duke City.
So as we kind of discussed earlier, what's happened most of this first half that's really caused the point deficit for Pueblo is early on their jammers were giving up so many power jams, and their blockers were unable to do the penalty kill until a little while in. And we saw they gave up some penalties from the jammers, but the blockers were able to turn it up and keep the points gain low by doing good job blocking. Now let's get back into the action.
Seam Slayer jamming for Duke City, taking a hard hit at turn 1.
Ringo Scar, meanwhile, at the front of the pack there, jamming for Pueblo, is out and lead jammer.
And Seam Slayer still trying to get through. And Seam Slayer, the high point scorer for Duke City, Pueblo neutralized her early, about middle of this half, and that's where they stopped that point deficit from really getting larger than it is now.
And Ringo Scar through for 4 points on the pass. It looks like she's going to go ahead and keep skating, even though Seam Slayer's coming in for points as well. So we're matched 4 for 4 as Ringo Scar coming back through. I think she was hoping her blocker wall would hold up the jammer so that she could gain a little more score. So ultimately on the pass, Pueblo's going to pick up 4 points up more getting closer to Duke because they were matched on that first pass.
And that is halftime.
Yeah, that takes us to the half. So going out of this half, very much like you said, Pueblo really needs to stop giving up the power jams and hopefully pull a couple power jams for themselves to close up that gap. Duke City really just needs to keep doing what they're doing. Maybe focus on a strategy for how they're going to stop Jamie Foxshoop, who seems to have been able to break 3 or 4 times out there first and really quick off the line. So that's the biggest threat to Duke City is Jamie Foxshoop, in my humble opinion.
The other thing, I think the other threat to Duke City right now is that Pueblo defense. If they keep jamming Seam Slayer the way they have been, Pueblo's really got Seam Slayer figured out. And if Duke can't continue to get those blockers in there to open up those doors for Seam Slayer, that could be a problem for Duke, and that could enable Pueblo to also decrease that point deficit.
You're correct, and we saw that a lot in that second half, or in the second half of the first period. We saw Pueblo do a lot of that control of the jammer. They were able to shut down not only Seam Slayer, but Jerk of All Skates from getting too many points on him, especially in a power jam situation. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and let you guys take a break, get some drinks, and go. Thank you very much for joining us on ColoradoSports.TV. Don't forget to click the donate button and donate now for all of this wonderful Derby coverage being brought to you from Loveland, Colorado, Mayday Mayhem 2015. I'm Bangers and Smash.
I'm DJ Dick.
We'll see you in a few. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to ColoradoSports.TV's coverage of Mayday Mayhem 2015. We're about to get right back into Derby. I'll give you a little reminder. I'm Bangers and Smash. I'm joined on the mic by
DJ Dick.
Alrighty, and we've got the Pueblo Derby Devil Dolls taking on the Duke City Roller Derby Muñecas Muertas, and Pueblo in yellow, Duke in black. Duke with a nice lead right now. As we went out, we discussed, Pueblo really needs to stop giving up power jams and turn on the defense like they have been doing in the second half of the last period. And Duke just needs to figure out a way to break up Pueblo's defense and keep doing what they're doing, I think.
Yep. And Duke starting out with Seam Slayer once again. A little bit of penalty trouble at the start of this jam with just 2 blockers on there.
Ala Inyabiz jamming for Pueblo, able to break her way out of the pack. Lead jammer goes to Pueblo. She's about 30 feet ahead of Seam Slayer. She's going to be going in for points, but her team is at the back. So this is going to be interesting as she comes in, slows down. And she's got to go for it now because Seam Slayer's already going to be putting 4 on the board.
Seam Slayer makes it the outside. Very nice move there.
Ala Inyabiz recycled all the way back. She's going to go ahead and call it off. She only picks up 3 points for Pueblo, so taking that risk and going in did not pay off for Pueblo this time, as Duke able to make a 1-point gain.
4-3 jam, scored at 122 to 96, 26-point differential. Oh, we love a good man.
Pueblo once again putting up that nice lineup. That's number 120 that we're seeing here from the back for Pueblo, and that is I-25, Mother Trucka, coordinating the Pueblo defense.
Alrighty, Jamie Foxshoop jamming for Jailhouse Jawbreakers. Up at the front is taken to the inside by number 187.
Doom de Doom, and that is Banff jamming for Duke City in black.
Jamie Foxshoop out in lead, but Banff not too far behind her. I mean, it almost looks like less than 10 feet here. Jamie's going to go ahead and call off that jam and end it. It just makes the most sense for Pueblo at this point. You're in a points deficit. Your team's at the back. You don't want to give up any opportunities for points for the other team.
Right. Pueblo lining up a little bit different lineup this time. They're not going for that deep wall. They're kind of spread out across the line here.
Not a bad attempt. Change things up a little bit, see what works.
Right.
They've been doing that deep wall a lot, and I think that Duke City's kind of figured it out.
And that's Meep Meep, number 80D, jamming for Duke City in black.
Lead jammer already. She's out. Now Ringo Scar jamming for Pueblo. Going to come in behind her. She finds that inside line. Oh, actually low block on Meep Meep. penalty box for her. Power jam for Ringo Scar. Ringo Scar not lead jammer because Meep Meep did get lead before the low block occurred. So we're going to go for the full 2 minutes on the jam. Ringo Scar already threw for 5, making it look easy there on that pass.
Killer Queen blocker for Duke City tried to put a hit there, but missed it.
And this time as Ringo Scar comes in farm fresh, going in for a little bit of offense, and then Ringo Scar taken out to the outfield. Going to have to recycle and start the journey again. Good penalty kill by Duke City as Meep Meep now returning from the penalty box.
And that's Killer Queen and Kells Inferno blocking for Duke City with that penalty kill. Meep Meep out of the box, back on the track, mixing it up in the pack right now. 4 points being picked up there by Ringo Scar, 5 points.
Ringo Scar keeps going. Now this is, remember, we have no lead jammer because Meep went to the penalty box after going. So we're just going to be doing points, as many points as you can get. Keep on going. Ringo Scar in looking for more as Meep Meep comes around looking to get some of her own.
Kells Inferno was mixing it up there with Ringo Scar. She came around holding her back.
Lorna Love at the back there doing a good job holding up Meep Meep as Ringo Scar makes it through for another 4 and is already around for a scoring pass again.
Lady Lorna just really putting the hurt on Meep Meep as Meep Meep trying to break through that pack. Lady Lorna's there again, a back block having been called on Ringo Scar. Ringo Scar will go to the penalty box now. That puts Meep Meep out there all by herself. We're out of time. Jam is over. 2 points picked up by Pueblo and 5 points picked up by Duke City in black.
So Ringo Scar bringing it that time 16-5 on the jam. Pueblo able to move that much closer. The score is getting really close, but now Pueblo has done what they don't want to do and give up another power jam.
And that's going to be Seam Slayer in that power, taking advantage of that power jam.
Pueblo bringing the whole pack to the front line here, the pivot line. A little stretched out as we have some people looking to hold things up at the back.
We're seeing Duke City get number 181 running alongside of Seam Slayer, opening up a door. Seam Slayer, though, having a hard time at the front of the pack as Pueblo bridges out. Seam Slayer does get through and picks up lead jammer.
Havoc Herway looking to hold up Seam Slayer. Did a good job, stretch that pack out, but had to let her go. Seam Slayer coming back in right into Mother Trucka, who was just waiting for her to come in. Now Pueblo's wall starts to stretch out. They're going to bridge. And Seam Slayer makes her way through.
Ringo
put
Scar
5 in the board.
Ringo Scar back on the track now.
And Ringo Scar takes that inside line as it opens up. She's through.
Seam Slayer going up against blockers for Pueblo, gets pushed to the outside, decides to call off the jam before Ringo Scar can hit the pack and score.
Mother Trucker holding that front of the line there, just stop Seam Slayer in her tracks there. We're 135-112. Pueblo has managed to bring this closer, but again, the power jam did not help them that time. 8-point gain by Duke City in their lead.
Duke City definitely knows how to take advantage of those power jams, and they've done a great job of doing that.
And Ala Inyabiz up on the line for Pueblo.
Already, Ala Inyabiz jamming for Pueblo. And
number 10, Banff, jamming for Duke City. Recognize her because she's been up there quite a bit wearing the black and silver trunks there. And Banff picking up lead jammer for Duke City.
And it looks like she's going to have a power jam again as
Farm Fresh being sent to the penalty box.
Yeah, Ala Inyabiz off to the penalty box as well. She got a back block call. I was just waiting to see if she was leaving the track. Everybody was blocking her, and she's like, no, I'm trying to go to the penalty box.
5 points picked up in the meantime by Banff. Banff does a nice little move there. She falls on the track and just kind of springs back up. Picks up 5 more points for Duke City. And again, back to the power jams that we were hoping that Pueblo would not give up to Duke City.
And you saw Pueblo was able to really close the gap, but now they're Duke City running away with another 5 points by Banff. And Pueblo down to just 3 blockers makes it tough for them to hold up Banff at all.
Banff with some nice twisting moves around those 2 walls at the front of the pack. 5 more points. It looks like Pueblo's not even really sure how to counteract that.
Ala Inyabiz comes back from the penalty box, immediately tackled to the infield and going to recycle his. Bamf taken to the outfield, going to be recycled way, way back there.
Did a little spin move, but stepped out and has to go back in. Ala Inyabiz stuck at the front of the pack with Duke City blockers, and they're just holding Ala Inyabiz as Bamf goes to the outside. Picks up 5 more points for Duke City, really increasing this lead early on in the second half.
Ala Inyabiz just stuck like, stuck like glue to that blocking wall. They're not giving her an inch if she doesn't really, really work for it. Bamf comes back in. Jam comes to an end. Great jam for Duke City. Another 4 points on the pass. Going to take them to a 28-point jam for Bamf with 0 answered points from Pueblo. So, yeah, a great gain there. Again, probably the power jam at the beginning led to most of that, and then some great blocking by Duke City's blocker lineup there.
That, for me, has been the largest jam of the day that I've seen. We didn't have anything like that in the first game on track 2. I don't know what's happening over on track 1, but that's an impressive jam by any standards.
For a 28-point jam, and the last jam would really put it in favor for them at this point.
Alrighty, as we get back into it, Jamie Fox up jamming for Pueblo, stuck behind a 3-wall at the back there. Jerk of all skates also stuck behind her own 3-wall of Pueblo defenders. Jamie Fox up, though, finds a way around and out on the outside lead jammer for Pueblo.
Kells Inferno putting the hard stop on Jamie Fox up. And it's a race now between jammers. A Jerk of all skates putting on the speed, trying to force the call off, and does force the call off. 1 point picked up by Pueblo. Nice moves there by Jerk of all skates.
And 1 point's 1 point. At this point, Pueblo really needs to nickel and dime as much as they can and not let Duke City put any more points on them. And of course, as we've said, not give up more power jams.
Games can be won by 1 point, so you want to get those points even if it is just 1 and you call it off.
Alrighty, Ringo Scar up to jam again for Pueblo.
For the Dead Dolls, Ringo Scar jam from Jailhouse Jawbreakers.
And both jammers just really trapped up there. Now I see Duke City's jammer taking on a defensive position and hitting out Ringo Scar. That's Meep Meep jamming for Duke City, now stuck in the 4-wall of Pueblo.
And Meep Meep doing a great job of dancing back and forth along that Pueblo line. Pueblo readjusting. Farm Fresh doing a great job of directing the Pueblo defense, holding back Meep Meep as we're seeing right now. And Meep Meep is through the pack and picks up lead jammer. Some great defensive work there by Pueblo. Farm Fresh coordinating that defensive line, keeping Meep Meep back.
Absolutely. Now, Ringo Scar able to break past Swear and Marie and get out of the pack herself. She's looking to at least shut down Duke City's point gain. And Meep Meep comes through quick, able to pick up all 4, calls it off before Ringo Scar can put any points on the board.
Meep Meep going to the outside there to get those 4 points. And this is the second jam now in a row where Pueblo scored 1 point the last jam, 0 points the jam before that. So not a lot of points being scored here by Pueblo. They've really got to figure that out. So Steam Slayer at the line once again for Duke City.
And Pueblo fielding the big Kapowski, number 8409. This is only her second time in jamming for Pueblo today.
I-25 coordinating the defense for Pueblo right now as they're going up against Seam Slayer. 3-wall, holding Seam Slayer back. Seam Slayer pushing that wall with just force of will.
As the big Kapowski able to find her way past the 3-wall at the front that was delivering some pretty tough hits, takes lead jammer. Now Seam Slayer is about a quarter track behind. Oh, but she slides out, giving Pow Pow some room to find a way through the pack and put some more points on the board for Pueblo. Pack picking up speed, though, as Duke City has the front wall. They're going to force that call off again. 1 point for Pueblo on the pass as Powell calls off the jam.
Killer Queen coordinating the defense for Duke City on that pass. And Killer Queen skating backwards as the rest of her blockers skating forwards, keeping an eye on where the jammers were for Pueblo. And it's Bamf once again with the star for Duke City. I'm glad I finally keyed in on the outfit that Banff is wearing. It's going to make things a lot easier.
And it's Jamie Foxshoe jamming for Pueblo. Yeah, as you get further into it, especially with the angle we're at, we're behind the jammer line, so that's why we're sometimes a little late telling you who's jamming, but we always try to get out there. Jamie Foxshoe right down the middle of the pack, lead jammer. Again, Jamie, the strongest thus far of Pueblo's jammers today in this game. The one who's able to get out, get lead, and look at that. Burns up the track all the way around, 5 points on the board. This time, though, she is being chased down by Banff, who makes it out of the pack.
Banff finally making out of the pack, trying to get around Farm Fresh. Farm Fresh was there everywhere that Banff wanted to go. No matter how Banff twisted and turned, Farm Fresh was there to stop her.
So at the end there, Jamie comes in, picks up 1 more point for Pueblo. Is a little late on the call-off, though. 2 points on the board for Duke City.
Where Duke City is still trying to push that point differential. Did not take it.
But overall, a 4-point game for Pueblo on the jam, and that's really what they need to keep doing as the time continues to tick down on them.
Right, absolutely.
Ringo Scar back on the line for Pueblo. And we got Jerk of all skates.
Jerk of all skates jamming out there for Duke, and Ringo Scar for Pueblo as Jerk of all skates, front of the pack, goes up against I-25 Mother Trucker. Mother Trucker goes down, and it's Jerk of all skates winning that altercation, picking up lead jammer.
Ringo Scar, meanwhile, really struggling at the back of the pack there, looking for a way through, finds the inside line. She's out and eligible to score.
Jerk of all skates already in the pack once again, looking to pick up points here, going up against the Pueblo blocker at the front. Jerk of all skates gets past, calls off the jam, just as Ringo Scar was about to hit the back of the pack and pick up some points.
So 4 unanswered points for Duke City means they get to increase their lead. We're about halfway through. If you're just joining us now, thanks for joining us on ColoradoSports.TV for Mayday Mayhem 2015. Right now, we got Pueblo in the yellow taking on Duke in the black. Duke with a decent lead. Pueblo looking to change things up. Having some struggles here in the second half, though. Again, got to watch those power jams and really need to get their jammers out quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. They were doing a great job toward the first half there. But Duke City came out to win here on the second half. And that is number 80D, Meet jamming for Duke City, picking up lead jammer.
And the Big Kapowski jamming for Pueblo, still in the pack, took a spill, got right back up, and 2 to beat to get out.
Looks like there was a nice jump over a down skater in that pack as she came out of there as well. Meet calling off the jam as she's fighting up against the Pueblo black wall, picking up 4 points in the process. No points for Pueblo.
It was kind of funny there. If you were watching, the Big Kapowski did make it out. The jam was called off. She was holding up 5 in the sky, and her jam ref was like, "No, you got no points though." And then she's and she laughed. She's like, "I know. It was on my initial pass, but I figured I'd give it a try, right?"
Seam Slayer out there jamming now for Duke City. I love it when I see jammers telling the officials how many points they've scored.
Yeah, exactly. And why not try? Maybe they'll change their mind to give them to you. You never know. Alrighty, Jamie Foxshoe jamming for Pueblo. It gets up front, and look there, once again, lead jammer for Jamie Foxshoe. Seam Slayer coming in, takes a block from her own blocker and Farm Fresh, puts her down on the floor and gives Farm Fresh and Strawberry Sour a chance to get up and hold her up even further.
Seam Slayer finally breaking out of the pack.
Jamie Foxshoe, though, already around and in for a scoring pass. She's out on the outside. She is watching where Seam Slayer is. She's going to go ahead and decide to call it off. And again, I think that's a wise strategy. If her blockers had any trouble holding up Seam Slayer, they're going to give up points that Pueblo can't afford right now with the time ticking down.
And Banff's going to take the star once again for Duke City. Gets out on the line early, saving a spot for her friend. Come stand by me.
Ringo
Scar jamming for Pueblo. I love when the whistle blows, they're all serious business. But when it's not blown and they're just standing out there, they like to talk to each other. I mean, I love the camaraderie of roller derby.
And Banff through the pack very easily, picking up lead jammer for Duke City.
And Ringo Scar looking on the outside line. She stepped to the outfield. She gets up. She's going to pick up a cut.
She takes a hard hit from Kells Inferno. So good job on Kells for causing that track cut. And we've seen that a lot. A lot of those track cuts. Meanwhile, Banff picking up 5 in the sky for Duke City. Now in a power jam. We see Duke lining up to the outside again to let Banff come through and have her way as it is with the Pueblo line.
Now Banff getting hung up just ever so slightly by Lorna Love, but she's through. 5 in the sky once again for Duke City. Again, we've discussed this a number of times. Pueblo did not want a power jam, and right now the blockers are not able to stop Banff. And look at the spinning maneuver.
Oh, that spinning maneuver has been Banff's go-to, and Pueblo has not figured that out yet. As we saw right there, they were a little late to getting that push out to the inside. Banff recovered nicely, goes back to the outside, and then picks up 5 points.
Now Ringo Scar returning on her initial pass, so Banff still has plenty of time to make some points, and Ringo Scar already taken to the outfield by number 11, and that's Killer Queen, who, as much as we've said her name today, would be, in my opinion, the MVP blocker. I mean,
Banff once again with 5 more points, and she got there by doing that spin move around the Pueblo wall again. Got one up against a 2-wall and just kind of easily slided through it at that point.
Now Banff comes in for a pass, and she is taking the outfield on 1 foot. She does put 4 more on the board on the pass, and a team timeout is called, or at least it was signaled, for Pueblo, I believe.
Yes.
I'll verify when I see the NSO point at somebody. I see it flashing on the board there. Yeah, so it was Pueblo calling a timeout there. So maybe they're going back in. I mean, the score was so close just 10 minutes ago.
Right.
And then what did Pueblo do? Power jam, power jam, power jam. They're giving up so many jammer penalties, and I get it, it's tough with a short roster, but they really, what I'm seeing is they're letting themselves be driven to the outside line. Their foot goes over the line. They're not aware of where their foot is, and so they stand up and they get the cut. I mean, and that's really the story of most cuts, is you're not aware of where your feet are. Or you're not aware of the skaters that you've passed and you missed one and they went back and you get the cut. So the biggest thing I can see for Pueblo is awareness of where their feet are on the track. Because the biggest thing that's killing them is being driven out, their foot goes over, they step back in, not even realizing their foot's gone over the line, and they're picking up a cut, giving up that power jam. And 24 unanswered points every time you have a power jam is really killing them.
And I think the other thing that we're seeing too, and that's the second, just to your point there, that's the second high-scoring power jam for Duke City. Earlier on, they had a 28-point jam now, and a power jam. Now they've got a 24-point power jam. Their walls have not been as effective in this second half, holding back Seam Slayer, holding back Banff. They're not holding those jammers back.
And again, I mean, some of that can be chalked up to a short roster, but if you're going to skate short, you got to make sure that you're out there and playing the game that you want to play.
The jerk of all skates jamming once again for Duke City.
And that's the big Kapowski for Pueblo. Both jammers right now really caught up in the respective defensive walls. But jerk of all skates at the front, lead jammer going to Duke City.
Big Kapowski's recycled back, going up against a 4-wall FU2 in there. FU2 being the blocker, not me swearing at the fans or at you, Bangers.
I thought for a second I was really offended. Powell finds her way out, an eligible score, but jerk of all skates knows she's going to come on through, call off the jam, and put 4 more on the board for Duke.
I would never swear at you, Bangers. Derby love all the way around.
I'm not going to say the same. No, I'm just kidding.
Pueblo starting out with a little bit of penalty trouble here with just 3 blockers fielded on the track. So that's going to give Duke City the advantage here.
And it's going to be Meep Meep taking on Jamie Foxshoop. So 2 very strong jammers, 1 from each team on the track. We're going to have to see how this one plays out this time. Can the defense hold up Meep Meep long enough for Jamie Foxshoop to get out?
We're seeing Duke City getting those blockers in there to split apart that wall, but it's not enough. As Pueblo picks up lead jammer Meep Meep, putting the pressure on.
There was less than a foot at times there between the two. Jamie is the point scorer for Pueblo in this game right now, but she wasn't able to do anything because the blockers were unable to hold up Meep Meep, and Meep Meep was right there. She
could feel Meep Meep breathing down the back of her neck. I mean, that's how close. I don't know if that got caught on camera, but it was really, really close.
Alrighty, so up for Pueblo, we've got Ringo Scar, and it is Banff for Duke City as we get into the next jam.
Banff doing a great job of figuring out where Pueblo is going to go and going in the opposite direction. Banff works her way around number 10, picks up lead jammer.
Killer Queen spinning out as she takes out Ringo Scar, and Ringo Scar recycled. Then a big hit and spill in the pack. Whistles blown. It
Ringo
looks
Scar
like
took out like 3 of the Duke City blockers in one hit. Pivot for Duke City, number 9, going to the penalty box. That's Kells Inferno. And Banff calling off the jam as Ringo Scar catching up right there.
4 on the board
points.
for the pass for Duke City. So not a bad deal. Yeah, what happened, and that was really good for Ringo Scar. The one blocker was backwards. She hit her pretty hard. It drove everybody down, and then because the pivot went down and the jammer tripped over, it got a low block call. So, yeah, I mean, it worked out really well for Ringo Scar. It enabled her to get out and at least stop the bleeding.
We're missing some dancing now, as apparently both teams enjoying the song that's playing.
The big Kapowski jamming for Pueblo, makes her way around the outside, thought she was free, and actually now she's lead.
That's Jerkoval Skates jamming for Duke City. She got hung up at the jam line by the Pueblo line, and she still has not broken out of that pack. It's a nice, effective 2-all at the front there, holding Jerkoval Skates back.
That was Joan Cuesmack and Ala Inyabiz holding her back, and then Farm Fresh came and finished the deal, recycled her as the big Kapowski threw, going to pick up all 5 for Pueblo. Now, this is what Pueblo needs to do, turn on the defense and get power jams, as just happened now. We've got a forearms call on Jerkoval Skates, so the big Kapowski has a power jam and has control because she is lead.
And that's exactly what Pueblo wants right now. They've got to be able to make the most of this power jam, but she's being held up in a 3-wall at the front of the pack by Duke City. Duke City not letting her through at all.
And penalty called on on one of the Duke City blockers. It was the last one. It took just a second. The big Kapowski was not sure if she'd passed everybody legally and could come back on, or if she was going to recycle. She took the chance. It paid off. She got 5 points and back in.
Big Kapowski takes a really hard hit, goes down at the inside, calls off the jam from the floor.
And I got to say, this floor is hard.
It's a hard floor.
It is polished cement. Taking a spill to the inside on any part of your body is not a fun thing.
It's hard just to walk on it.
Especially for some people. All right, so Meep taking on Jamie Fox you up. We've seen this lineup a couple times already. We'll see how it plays out this time. The Duke City blockers down 1 in the pack. Advantage Pueblo. Let's see if it makes a difference for him.
Both jammers tied up in the pack right here.
Jamie Foxshope was getting a little help there from Mother Trucka at the front, who was playing some offense, but it really hasn't helped her out too much.
Meep takes a hard hit from Farm Fresh at the apex of turn 1 and 2, gets recycled back to the pivot line.
And Jamie Foxshope takes lead as she's able to break the pack. So Jamie really coming in hot there against Meep down. It looked like it was
little dazed.
It looked like it may have been just within that back section that you're allowed to target. So good on Jamie for putting down the jammer for a second there.
Yeah, and that was a hard hit. Meep took a second to recover from that. I was wondering, it would look like it was going to hit that 3-second mark where the officials would have to blow the whistle, but Meep was recovered nicely, is back up there.
And Meep giving a little payback there, takes out Jamie Foxshope and recycles her back so that they both have to begin their jam again. But Jamie's kind of okay with that because she's on a scoring pass. So
Meep breaking through the pack and now starts her scoring pass. We'll see what Jamie does, and Jamie chooses to call off the jam. Good track awareness there by Jamie. 4 points by Jamie Foxy up.
So Jamie able to move it a little closer.
5 is what's being reflected on the board.
Oh, I didn't see the thumb from where I'm sitting, so I apologize for giving you misinformation with my fingers. All right, so we're down to 5 points left on the board. There's quite the score gap between the two, but what I love here is that Pueblo is still bringing it.
Oh, yes.
And it still matters. I mean,
yes.
Point spreads matter with the new ranking system. Well, it's not new anymore, but point spreads matter, so Pueblo's still going to be working to close the gap. Can they close it all the way? It's going to be a struggle to do in four minutes.
Seamslayer out there jamming. Seamslayer being sent to the penalty box for a back block.
And Ringo Scar loving that. She's lead jammer. She's got a power jam. And you know what? If Duke City keeps giving up power jams, that gap may not be so hard to close if Pueblo can break these defensive walls, which Ringo Scar's done, putting 5 on the board.
Yeah, Duke City was down to just 3 blockers out there. Ringo Scar able to take advantage of that.
Now the pack's waiting in turn number 2. Ringo Scar comes around, meets up with the wall of Duke City blockers, and is basically trapped. But she's pushing.
She is pushing. That 3-wall from Duke City, they're doing a great job of holding her back. Ringo Scar kind of breaks apart, reassesses it, attacks it once again, goes to the outside, and picks up 5 points. A valiant defense by Duke City, but not enough. And now Seam Slayer retaking the track, and she'll go up against that formidable 4-wall that Pueblo's been putting up against her this whole game.
You're right, and as she comes in, she gets trapped. A multiplayer called, so Pueblo loses a blocker, and this has been when Seam Slayer's been able to break her way through.
Jam gets called off as Seam Slayer goes to the inside. Looks like she was going to score there. Picked up no points, 12 altogether for Pueblo.
Yeah, I believe Seam Slayer was still on her initial pass, but I think perhaps Ringo Scar didn't realize that, and that's why she called the jam a little early, because she was concerned she was giving up points, and like I said, that's certainly something Pueblo doesn't want to do right now. So wise idea to call it off. It didn't hurt anything, and they still got a 12-point gain on this particular jam.
And a timeout being called here by Duke City.
I think as the time clicks further down, we're going to see this happening. Both teams still have some timeouts left, and both teams have official review that they haven't used.
And you know, it's interesting you bring that up. Yeah, there have not been any official reviews during this game, and that's unusual.
It absolutely is. I mean, you get one each half. If it's successful, you get to keep it, and you can use it again.
We spoke too soon. Duke City calling for an official review. As soon as we get information about the nature of that official review, we'll pass that on to you.
If we get information about the official review. So yeah, now this is timeouts switched to an official review, so you can see the little blinky lights on the screen have changed up, and now it's a blinky light for an official review.
And it's a case once again of the announcer saying that something is so, and the skaters choosing to go against what we the announcers have decided and making liars out of us. Which is a common thing with derby announcers.
It absolutely is. Now, you may wonder why the team that's so far in the lead is challenging. But again, as I kind of pointed out at the beginning of the last jam, point spread makes a difference. If they're challenging points earned by Pueblo for some reason, or perhaps a jammer penalty challenge, then it can make a difference ultimately in where the game ends and how it affects the team's rankings. Remember, all of the games that are being brought to you from Mayday Mayhem are sanctioned by their respective associations. All of the women's games are WFTDA. The 3 men's games that you'll see tomorrow are MRDA, and the 2 juniors games that are being played on Sunday, or on Saturday and Sunday, are also JRDA. So all sanctioned games. That's one of the things Mayday Mayhem has always prided itself on, is that the games are all sanctioned.
And that's an excellent opportunity for the teams that come here to change their position in the rankings. So they want to come out here, give it their absolute all. And I'll say this about Pueblo. If you're just at home and you're just looking at the score, or you're just listening to us and you haven't really been watching what's happening, you can't go by the score in this instance. The Pueblo defense has just been amazing to watch. Early on, they really figured out Seam Slayer and a couple of the other Duke City jammers did a great job neutralizing them. And for most of the first half, it really was anybody's game. And I think Duke City realized that coming out into the second half and changed some things up. We've been a little bit more aggressive, and teams are back on the line now.
And again, I think the game would be much closer if Pueblo's jammers had been a little more aware of where their feet were on the track and avoided some of those cut calls.
And that's Banff jamming for Duke City, picking up lead jammer.
The big Kapowski jamming for Pueblo is in the pack, looking to get out, gets a whip assist from Farm Fresh and is out.
And pack coming together now, a little bit of an action out there as Banff attacking the pack, takes a hard hit by Mother Trucka, goes to the inside and calls off the jam from her knees, picking up 4 points. No points for Pueblo. Nice little move there by Banff.
All right, so what I can share with you that we know about the official review is that whatever was challenged was not overturned because they have lost their official review on the scoreboard. So that means that whatever they were asking for, it was not awarded to them. I don't know what it was, but
there you go. Jerk of all skates with the star for Duke City.
And it's going to be Jamie Foxshoe for Pueblo.
We've seen this matchup before. There's the whistle. I just like saying that sometimes. Jerk of all skates surrounded by yellow, trying to find a way through. And we see number 86 from Duke City. That is Death Row coming in to break that wall up to hopefully get Jerk of all skates through. But Jerk of all skates stuck now at the back against the 3-wall of Pueblo defenders.
And meanwhile, Jamie Foxshoe not having any more luck on her own as she's trapped in a wall of black. I mean, it's just impossible for these jammers to break out. We went around all the turns before a lead jammer was called, and it's Jamie Foxshoe out first, but then not too far behind is Jerk of all skates, about 20 feet based on the lines on the floor.
Yeah, absolutely. Jerk of all skates really pouring on the speed here. And just a quick note about the defense for Pueblo, and we saw it right there. Anytime you look at the Pueblo line, Farm Fresh is there, Farm Fresh is in it, and just for that whistle blow, Farm Fresh was gearing up for a hit on Jerk of all skates. She was going to slow Jerk of all skates down before getting any points. So nice. I think Farm Fresh would have to be MVP for Pueblo, because every time I've looked over, every time I've seen a block or a wall, Farm Fresh has been involved in that.
Voted dead goals. We have
Alrighty, so it's going to be Meep versus Ringo Scar in this jam. Now the period time is ticking down. 1 minute left. If
Meep with a nice move around Mother Trucker picks up lead jammer.
And now Meep may just run the clock out based on where we're at. There's plenty of time. There's no chance Pueblo's going to catch him. Why not?
The way Meep is skating, I don't think that is her plan.
Oh, no, she's going to get points.
Yeah, she takes a hard hit, gets recycled back, but she's not slowing down. Meep is like, I want points.
Yeah, I'm just saying she may keep on skating through the 30 seconds as opposed to calling it, but no, she's going to go ahead. She saw Ringo Scar approaching for a scoring pass. She's going to get her 4 and get out. Let's have another jam.
Let's have one more.
Why not?
That's what we're here for.
We could have, in 20 seconds, I've seen 4 jams happen.
And a timeout being called. So it looks like that could happen here again. As Duke City calling a timeout, they want some more points.
They want some more points, and it makes sense with the ranking system and the way it works. You want as big a point spread as possible, especially when you're the top-seeded team going into a bout. You want the bigger point spread in the end because that's what's going to make the difference for you.
Hey, sir, can I have one more?
That's Seam Slayer up there once again for Duke City.
And the big Kapowski for Pueblo.
For a moment, I had a panic that I was saying Seam Slayer's name wrong.
Incorrectly.
I had to look down at the paperwork. Oh, yes, it is Seam Slayer. And once again, for those of you at home, Duke City in black, Pueblo in yellow.
Now the clock has been adjusted. 18 seconds on the clock. This is very likely going to be our last jam of the game. And what a game. It's been so much energy, so much good things brought into the game. Let's talk about that after this jam, though.
Let's do that. As Seam Slayer gearing up, waiting for that whistle to blow. Now, Seam Slayer has had trouble with the Pueblo defense the entire game. So we'll see what she does here. Oh, nice move to the outside. Seam Slayer picks up lead jammer right off the bat.
The big Kapowski almost out, but then 3 blockers come out of nowhere, and Screamin' Marie gets her and knocks her to the outfield. She is going to be recycled.
Seam Slayer trying to go to the inside, gets pushed to the inside. She's going to get pulled all the way back behind the pivot line, having some trouble on this slick floor.
Now the period clock has expired. We got 1:32 remaining in the jam. Seam Slayer has control. She's driven again to the outside by Harley Innocent and recycled behind Ala Inyabiz. As the big Kapowski up front is looking to break her way through, just 2 blockers to beat.
Seam Slayer gets pushed to the outside once again. It's going to be pulled all the way back to the apex between turns 1 and 2, further back, all the way back to turn 1. And Big Kapowski through the pack, not lead jammer, but still able to score here.
Team Slayer going to go ahead and shut it down. No reason to keep on going. 4 more points already picked up. She did pass everybody legally. She wasn't going to make it out in time to get any more points on Pueblo with Powell coming in. So unofficial final, 151-221. Not that big a spread between these two teams. And it really boiled down to, in the second half, all of those jammer penalties on Pueblo, and then again Pueblo's defense not being able to penalty kill good enough to where the score didn't spread back out.
And don't forget those 2 really, really large power jams that Duke City had. 28-point power jam, 24-point power jam. They hadn't had those 2 big point gains. Of course, we can say this about any game, but those really made a big difference. And those are kind of unusual power jam scores with the 30-second power jam, 30-second penalty rule. So those 2, moving forward, Pueblo needs to reassess kind of where they're at and keep an eye on those things. Hopefully they'll come away from this learning a little bit. They can go into the next game with a little bit of knowledge and work that out.
They would just go on and pick up the win.
All right. That is our, I believe that's going to be our official final, 222-151. They're still just cinching things up. Neither team has taken the track for the victory yet. So we're still waiting for the official word.
I'm seeing officials at the scorekeeping table talking with the scorekeepers.
I think it's safe to say that Duke City wins this one, though. I can't imagine there's that big of a math error.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure at this point it's just a matter of tidying things up. But definitely Duke City coming out of this the victor. So looking good. This is only the second game of the day.
We did not know that up here.
Alrighty, official final. I just heard the house say that is actually official final, even though it says unofficial right now. 222-151, Duke City takes their victory lap. So some really good things we saw out here. Number one, both teams came in a little trepidatious. They'd never faced off each other. So that first jam we started off, it was really slow, not a whole lot of hits. Second jam, they came into it. So that was kind of that feel-out jam. Where are you people at here? What do we do? How do we figure this out? And then we saw Pueblo figure out a couple of jammers and be able to hang them up in the first half. And then we saw the jammers come back in the second half and be able to figure out, how do I defeat the way that they're now blocking me? So that was really impressive to see from both teams how they adjusted during the game.
Right, absolutely. And it'll be interesting to see how these teams play moving forward. They worked really hard. Farm Fresh out there a lot. Is that going to slow her down moving forward? Seam Slayer really had to work hard to get through those defensive walls of Pueblo. She was out there quite a bit jamming this game. So is that going to tire her out moving forward? So with these 3-day events like this, these all days, you just never know how things are going to play out as time goes on.
Exactly. Well, folks, that's it from Track 2 for this game. I'm Bangers and Smash.
I'm DJ Dick.
Thanks so much for joining us on ColoradoSports.TV. Remember, take a moment in between the games and click that Donate Now button and give a little back for all this wonderful derby action that's being brought to you right here from Mayday Mayhem 2015.